Hello, my name is Ashlyn Thomas, and I'm going to be explaining and showing situations where you would want to use colored channels to select and mask compared to traditional selection methods like the lasso or the magic wand tool. So for this demonstration, I have a picture of a dog here, and I'm also going to be referencing the grass and things like that. So first things first, if you want to select something specific, you have three options. You have, like I said, the lasso, the magic wand, or color channels. So with the lasso, it's a manual selection tool, meaning you have like complete control over the selection. However, when it comes to finer details, like right here, it's very tedious to have to go over every single strand of fur, for instance, and you make a lot of mistakes, like what I did. Unless I spend a very long time, which isn't really that ideal, working on making sure it's perfect, it's not going to look good. So that's why in this situation, for like fur or hair, it really isn't a good idea to use the lasso tool, or even leaves or things like that. Any sort of fine details. Next is the magic wand tool. So with this, you are able to click and select large shapes, and you can shift click to continue adding to that shape. However, even with this process, you get kind of left with a selection that doesn't really select finer shapes well. So even though I got this all selected, it's still missing all these little strands. So that's not ideal either. It's very easy for me to click and try to hit that, and then I end up accidentally getting the background instead. So the method instead that you can use to get to still retain these fine details is through something called color channels.
Hi, this is Victoria Stover, and we are going to go over how to use color channels to select and mask. This method can be a better option in certain situations for selecting and masking instead of the traditional selection methods that we just went over in class. Those are the lasso, magic wand tool, and rectangular marquee tools. In this example, we are going to select the tree from the background and change the background. This image is a good example of why we would want to use color channels, because there are many areas with a lot of detail, and it would take a lot of time to go through this image by hand, using even the magic wand tool to get all these areas of really high detail, and to select the tree away from the background. Another example of when we would want to use color channels to select is like hair from the background. If we wanted to select this person from the background, we could start off with using color channels to select the hair from the background, and this selection method can be used in combination with other things, and even using color channels again to get her shirt from the background too. Another example is high detailed like drawings. sometimes when you take a picture of a drawing, there's areas of different white balances inside of the image that you want. Like there's some shadows here, and sometimes there could be shadows in your drawing. So using the color channels to select just the drawing, and you can change out the background to something like completely white or different color too. But in this example, we're just going to work on the tree and selecting it from the background. So one thing that color channels wouldn't be very good at doing, say if you wanted to select something that was similar in color from what you're selecting it from, like say you wanted to select this group of leaves here from all these leaves around it, it would probably not work very well because they're all similar in color. You'd probably be better off using like a rectangular or like using hand selection to select what you wanted, because color channels uses the contrast in the colors. Like say the sky is blue and the leaves are orange, so it has some sort of color contrast to work on. Even if you wanted to select the trunk and the branches from everything else, it would still be a good option for that too. It just has to have some sort of contrast in the colors or just different colors to work with.
Hello, I am Calvin Paul, and I'm going to be explaining the basics of the color channels and how they work and what it means. So, to find the color channels, navigate yourself to the Color Channels panel located on the bottom right next to Layers. As you can see, here are the general channels we will be looking at. Starting up here, RGB stands for red, green, blue, and they are the primary colors that help produce a wide range of colors. Basically all the colors that make up this image. These three here are separate channels of colors that can modify certain areas of an image depending on the channel. The red channel shows all the areas of the image that emits reddish colors. The colors are fairly bright in the image to show you where they are. The green channel seems to have a neutral between red and blue, but it still shows the areas that green is produced. In the blue channel, the background is the brightest because that's where most of the blue colors are present. If we look back at the original image, we can see the sky here mostly consists of blue. Therefore, the blue colors are the brightest in the blue channel. Color channels can help an artist figure out what certain shades or colors need adjusting on, as well as contrast, which is also very important so the image doesn't appear too bright or too dark away from expectations. To summarize the basics of the color channels, the brighter the image on a certain channel, the more that specific color will show. The darker the shades means that there are less of the color that is being produced.
This is Victoria Stover, and I'm going to show you how to select using the color channel. So what we want to select is this tree with all the leaves. We want to get rid of the background, which is the sky. So how we use color channels to do this is first we look through the channels to see which one offers the best contrast. So that was red, this is green, and this is blue. It looks like the blue channel gives us that really good contrast between the tree leaves and the sky. So we want to click and drag this channel down to this plus icon to make a copy so that we could work with this copy and not do any damage to the original image. This shows really good contrast, but we want to make these dark areas completely black and the lighter areas completely white. So how we do that is go to Image, Adjustments, and Levels. So this is showing the dark areas, and this is the light areas. So we'll just click and drag this black arrow to the base of this. And we'll do the same for the white arrow, drag it to the base, about there. And we'll leave the gray arrow alone, and we'll click OK. So now that we have the contrast we want, if there were any areas in here that we wanted to darken still, we could use the brush tool with the black and just paint it black, but it looks good now. So what we want is to select the tree, and with this selection method, we want the tree to be white because the selection only selects the white areas, and right now the background is white. So we want to invert this image by going to Image, Adjustments, and Invert. So now that the tree is white, we can just select it by clicking Control or Command and clicking on the thumbnail for the channel that we're on. And you can see that it is just selecting the white areas with the marching ants. And now we can move on to the next step of masking.
Hi, my name is Ryan. Thank you, Victoria, for the explanation. Okay, so now with the image inverted, we're going to press Ctrl and click on the channel. This will select all the white areas. Unlock the image, and then we're going to create a mask. This will remove the background. As we can see, it turned out pretty good. Yep, looks good. Even down here, very nice, very easy. Okay, now we're gonna add a background image. There we go. Now currently this image is too small, so we're gonna have to hold shift, make it bigger. There we go. Oops. Alright, that looks pretty good. You can see it's almost as if the tree is in a different place. Very nice. Okay, so here we have another example. In this image, it has a white cloudy background and a lot of white flowers. So let's try to do the channels again. Alright, so here I'm doing the adjustments. We're going to drag this more to the right. And then we're going to drag this other side more to the left. That creates good contrast. However, as you can see, there's a problem because the color of the flowers were white and the background was also white. So one thing we can do is to use the selection tool, select the area with white flowers. Alright, good. And then we're going to press Alt and Backspace on the keyboard. And that would darken all the areas with the flowers. Finally, let's fix these cloud areas at the top. We select our paintbrush. Make sure you're selecting the color white, and then we're just going to paint over those areas. Down over here, there's still some regions that are kind of white, so we can use the paintbrush and darken it. Alright, overall it looks really good, so let's try to create a mask again. So you can see here we still have the flowers and the background is gone.